Okay, happy Friday again, everybody. See, when we get the playlist happening, after a while, every time there's a Friday, I'm going to say, "Yay, it's Friday!" You know what? Because it's Friday. Right? So, okay, yeah. Good morning, hello, and howdy to everybody. Okay, cool. So, any questions about the ladders from yesterday? No? Okay. I'm going to have a little question. What do we have to watch for when we overreach? We try to overreach. We should not be overreaching, but when we're reaching to the sideways while standing on the ladder, what is the most important thing or indicator that we are not too far, reaching too far, or what's the indicator that we are not overreaching? 3 points, that's one. Okay. Stay in the center of gravity. There we go. That's good. That was the cuboid thing that I drew for you. Belt buckle in the center. Okay, because our belt buckle is the center of gravity. You know what? You guys are listening. I'm proud of you, or something like that. Okay. Anyways, thank you. Good. You know your stuff. Now, today we're going to talk about the scaffolds. Now, before I say anything about the scaffolds and ladders, well, ladders you're going to have to get your own or company ladders. So you will be more using ladders way more than the scaffolds, or setting up ladders more than scaffolds. One thing that I'm going to tell you that usually, like okay. Years ago, it used to be you go to some rental place or you buy your own scaffold and you use it. You would use it. Now, when it comes to bigger jobs, you will not be requested to set it up. There will be a professional company that would just set it up for you. So, well, why? The question is, why am I giving you the spiel on the scaffolds here? Well, the reason is that you're going to be using it, and if you see some hazards, you should be able to identify them so you don't get hurt. Now, if you get hired by a company that is setting those up, that is, their job is to set those up for other workers or for the construction sites, because there are companies that just do that. If you get hired by them, then you're going to get extensive training and certification to do that. However, if you're just a worker doing your job, minding your own business, and you're requested to use that, you should be able to point out some hazards, so or things that are proper or improper, or at least you should know some terminology that has to do with that. So by no means this is not a training that you get a ticket from, that you'll be able to set things up. However, since you're going to be using them, at least, and then you will be deployed to some construction sites, I think you should know how to use those things and how to point out the hazards that has to do with it, with that. Okay, now let's just jump right into this. Let me cue it up here. And here is our PowerPoint again. Okay, so this is where we stopped yesterday. We're going to continue from that. A few more slides. I'm not sure, about 36 slides we have to go through. And we have almost an hour. Now, by the way, before we go that, those two videos on the ladder safety, did you guys have a chance to watch that? Yes, no, maybe? Yeah, yes, good. Sure did. All right, cool. Now, that's a bit of an eye opener, right? And when I talk to you about the way we are growing as humans, when we have that thing at the front of our head and then it's on top of our head, it has to do with the frontal cortex and the parietal lobe. As the older you get, the more sense of sensing the danger you will have. Okay, so just keep in mind that the younger you are, just take a correction that is that, see, when I was younger, I knew that kind of stuff, right? So I took a correction on that. It's I'm 25 years old. I might not sense as many dangers as the guy who is older. So I just would take a correction on that. I always have that in the back of my mind. I would encourage you to do that too when you're driving your car, riding a motorcycle, skiing, or skateboarding, and whatnot. Interesting part. You see many 20-year-olds doing the half pipe skating and doing the jumps and flips and whatnot. Do you see 50-year-olds do that? Not as much. Okay, and I'm gonna leave you with that. Think about it. All right. Okay, happy Friday. Let's go to the slideshow here. All right, scaffold safety. Scaffold is basically a cascade of platforms that you can walk on. Right? So scaffold safety is our section right now. All right, common scaffold hazards. Let's just take a look about what hazard is, and we're going to go back to that. Hazard is a potential source of harm. Okay, a potential source of harm to a worker. That's when we're talking about hazards in the workplace. Okay? So common scaffold hazards. Well, if there's no guard laid, Friday. All right. If there are no guardrails on scaffolds, that will be a hazard. Met some around 50-year-olds. Okay. All right. Yeah, there will be some people that do those things, but far and few in between. Yeah, you will see a lot more younger people doing the dangerous stuff than the older people, right? Because we older guys are not as mobile as we used to be. Let's leave it at that. Okay, let's go back. Common scaffold hazards. No guardrails on scaffolds. That will be a hazard. Defective wood planks and inadequate planking overhang. Unsafe access to scaffold. Cross bracing not adequate. Inadequate footings, bridging of scaffolds. So we're going to take a closer look at those items as we go along here. All right. Now, general requirements for a scaffold. All right. Erect or dismantle all scaffolds according to the manufacturer's instructions and competent person. So if on the construction side you see somebody's talking about the CP, that will be a competent person. As opposed to what? Incompetent person? I would like to apply for a job as an incompetent person. No, just kidding. Okay, so competent person. Yeah, stupid. Okay. Anyways, it's a kind of a technical terminology here. Okay. Must support 4 times. Okay. Generally, so scaffold must support 4 times intended load. So if something is rated for 1,000 pounds, it should be capable of withstanding 4,000 pounds. And if you have different numbers, you just get your calculator. Right? Now, it has to have stable footings as far as base plate, screw jacks, and mud slings. Base plate is the plate that the feet of or the legs of the scaffold are standing on, so it has to be nice and intact. Screw jacks. Let's just take a look at the screw jacks. What is all right, these would be screw jacks, okay, or something like that. You keep turning that the mobile cylinder of the screw jack, and this thing would go up or down. So that when we're talking about screw jacks, that's what they are. Jacks, jack it up, okay. Turn it and move it up, or turn it the other way, move it down. Okay? So let's go back to our and mud slings. Did I say mud slings? Mud seals. All right. And a few slides down the road, we're going to see some mud seals when it comes. Yeah, I'm going to show you pictures of that. Okay, hold on. There we go. General requirements continued. Platforms must be at least 8 inches wide. Ladder, that goes to ladders, ladder jacks, pump jack, top plate, and the roof brackets. We're going to have see some pictures of those in case you're wondering what these are. And if you don't, there's always Google, right? Why come to college? Just kidding. All right. Front edge of platforms within 14 inches of face of work. Exceptions: 3 feet 3 inches of outrigger, scaffold 18 inches. Well, you're going to get more detailed training if you have to deal with that. Okay. Okay, scaffold must be capable of supporting its own weight and at least um, 4 times the expected load. That was a couple slides ago. Expected loads include, right, or expected load includes workers that are on the scaffold, equipment, tools, and materials, and whatever else there is. Obviously, it should be able to hold that, as opposed to not being able to hold that, right? Okay, base plates and mud seals. All right, so base plate. If you have a muddy ground and if you have the base plate that is not really wide enough, obviously this thing is going to sink in. So you should have some additional support that goes around that. Okay, and here's another picture of a screw jack. Okay. All right, proper scaffold base. All right, so as I was saying, if you have uneven ground or something that the feet can sink into, you should have additional support and it should be adequate. Okay, so do not improvise. All right, masonry blocks and bricks are not acceptable as scaffold base. Now, obviously, this picture was not staged because it would take a long time to stage this stupid setup here. Why do I call it stupid? I'm not afraid to use this word. Well, because of that kind of stuff, some people can die, and if somebody's, you know, not smart enough to do that, they should not be called up on doing that work. So I expect that maybe this will be a picture of some safety inspector taking pictures when they came up on some violations, safety violations. All right, scaffold platform. Each platform on the wall. Okay, that's a lot of reading. It's all in English and stuff. Okay, each platform on all working levels must be fully planked and secured to prevent movement. Right? You should be able to feel the ground that you're walking on. No more than 1 inch space between decking platform units and upright supports. Wood scaffold planks must be nominal 2 inches by 10 inches. Then in the wood, okay, must be scaffold grade planks or equivalent. So the planking must be scaffold grade. You can't just go to hardware store and get some wooden boards and use them as planks. It has to be graded. It has to be specially treated to be used as scaffold planks. And this would be an example of a scaffold plank. There's some plank. There will be some stamps that suggest or inform us that this wood can be used as a plank. Okay. Planks with visible defects. Well, I think this is pretty obvious here. If you see something that is, some damaged things that you're supposed to be standing on while you're 20 feet up in the air, well, it's a common sense, but it's more common sense to some of us than to others. All right. So basically, it's a point blank statement here. Planks with visible defects must not be used. So it means if you see this thing is damaged, don't use it. Wow. Okay. Now, scaffold use. Do not use objects, ladders, boxes, or barrels, etc., on top of the scaffold platforms to increase the height. Yes, sometimes it can be tempting, and I must admit that there will be few situations in my 30 years experience that I was really tempted to put some things on top the scaffold just so I could raise my height of reach, raise my reach, just to reach some objects I was supposed to be working on. I never did that, and you know what, maybe that's why I'm just able to stand here in front of you and tell you that. Planks extend, there's a train. Planks extend 6 inches past the support or secured. Planks must extend 6 inches. So we'll talk about that a couple slides down the road. Do not paint platforms. Okay, so the planks that you'll be walking on, they're supposed to support you while you're standing on that thing. Do not paint those. Why shouldn't we be painting those? Because we do not know the chemical consistency of the paint, and as we paint it, then the paint can work itself into the wood, and we don't know how it is going to affect it. It might not affect it at all, or might weaken the wood. Same as well, unfortunately, a lot of people have a lot of stickers on their hard hats. Did you ever know that you're not supposed to put stickers on your hard hats? Because you don't know the chemical composition of the glue that is used on those stickers. And unfortunately, well, you know, I'm not going to say anything because I can see some people that really shouldn't be wearing those stickers on their hard hats. They will be inspecting you for safety, and there they are. Sometimes you can see some people with those stickers. Anyways, so that has to do with the chemical composition of the paint. So that's why we should not be painting them. They're not supposed to look pretty. They're supposed to work. And the scaffold should be fully braced. What are braces? Braces. Where's my yellow marker? That's the best here. Well, if you have some sort of ceiling structure or a platform, and here's a support, and here's another support, or let's say this is a table. Yeah, you know what? This looks like a table, and there will be some additional support that goes from here to here, and there will be a support from here to here. This would be braces. Yeah. Or if you have a flagpole. Yeah. If it's tall enough, you might see sometimes there will be some bottom support just so this thing doesn't tip. These things here, these are braces. On the scaffold, when you have platforms, and here's a platform of a scaffold, and it just goes up. All right. You're going to see some cross braces here. So there's a support that extends from here to here, and there's a support that extends from here to here, and they're actually hinged on that. So that thing is mounted here, 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 and here. These are called cross braces. All right. So now you see, you know, what this last point is. Okay. Now, front edge, how far scaffold can be from the face of the whatever area you're working on. So the wall here, this will be the face of the building or the face of the structure. How far can we have that, the scaffold from that? It is 14 inches. I will be asking you on the tests when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? So scaffold cannot be more than 14 inches from the face. Otherwise, you're increasing the hazard, which is the potential of potential way of beginning hurt in the workplace. Okay. Now, scaffold planks. Okay, so these will be the planks. They must extend 6 inches past the support. So here's the support. Right, here's the support bracket. That's where the plank is resting on. They must be at least 6 inches. Okay? Otherwise, there's a danger of them sliding off. And scaffold planks must be either secured to the support, or if they're just wooden plank, they should have cleats. Just, you know, the soccer, just, you know, the soccer. If you play soccer or football, and you have your foot. Let's say, how can we just? Here's a foot. Okay, so here's a shoe. All right. Here's my drawing, and here's your leg. Okay, here's your knee, and then just, so here's a shoe. So those little spikes here, so you can be comfortable on the grass. These are called cleats. And when it comes to planks, these also those wooden blocks here that that keep that plank secure on the support. These would also be called cleats. Okay. Soccer fan, they're my soccer fan. I'm one of those that I'm really, really hardcore soccer fan when there's World Cup. Okay. Other than that, I would love to go to a nice soccer game in Europe, but now because of COVID, yeah. Well, but you know what? I grew up on soccer. You guys play hockey? I'm back, when I was a kid back in Poland and actually Europe there. We used to, when the summer holiday was, school was out, we used to, day in, day out, we would just kick the ball, play soccer. You guys play hockey here? In Europe, we used to play soccer. So yeah, well, I grew up on that thing. All right, anyways, back to the topic. Polish factory. It's worked out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, let's go back to the. Let's get back. We've got few more minutes and a few more slides. Scaffold access. You need to get in. You can get on the scaffold or off the scaffold in a safe way. So let's see some options here. To some scaffold, you need ladders. Sometimes you can access a scaffold by a ladder, and you have to use the ladder just the same way that that basically you can apply the same principles that we talked about yesterday in our last lecture. All right, more than 2 feet off the ground. So if their scaffold is more than 2 feet off the ground, a ladder is a good idea. Do not climb the cross braces. Yeah. These cross braces are very tempted. Sometimes you can just grab those supports here, put your foot here, put your foot there. Those cross braces are not designed to support your weight. They are designed that they can keep the structure of the scaffold, but they are not designed so you could walk on them. And it takes, the thing about the thing about accidents is that they're not planned. You don't plan to have an accident, right? So accidents might happen if you start using things like scaffolds improperly and ladders, and it just takes. You know what? You can do this thing for 10 years and get away with that, and it's just at one time. Right? So I'm just telling you how to live nice, healthy, and safe life. So there you go. Now, okay, this is the wrong mouse. Place ladders securely. Apply the principles that we have talked about yesterday. Ladders must be positioned so they will not tip the scaffold. Okay, so when we were talking about placing scaffolds against the, ladders against the wall of a building, so of course you're not going to tip the building, but we also have to keep in mind that if we place the ladder against like extension ladder or a straight ladder, what's the difference between a straight ladder and extension ladder? A straight ladder is just a one piece. Right? And the extension ladder has two pieces. One is going to be the base, and that will be the one that is flight. Okay, flighting platform. So so the extension ladder. So if you put extension ladder, so here's a straight ladder. Here's the extension ladder. And just like that. All right, good. Yeah. So if you put straight or extension ladders against the scaffolds, make sure that you don't do it in a way that you can actually tip over the scaffold itself, because there are different sizes of scaffolds as well. All right, keep going. All right, scaffold access continued. Access to or from another surface, such as a window, can only be used when the scaffold is. So, can you access the scaffold from the window of a building? Yes, you can, but there are some rules to follow. So, again, I'm going to read this sentence. Access to or from another surface, such as a window, can only be used when the scaffold is no more than 14 inches away from the face or from the landing surface, and no more than 24 inches vertically away from the landing surface. So 14 inches away from the building, and no more. The height difference cannot be. So I'd say if there's a window here, here's a scaffold, and you want to get onto that platform there's a window here, okay? So the window cannot be more than 14 inches, no more than 14 inches away from that face of the building. This is a window, there's a building, and then the distance between here and here cannot be more than what? 24 inches. Just so you don't have to jump on and off. 2 feet is the most that you're expected to go up or down. So basically, that's what it's saying here. All right, let's see what the next slide is. Portable access ladders must be secured to prevent displacement, which is what we talked about yesterday. It must also, okay, it must extend at least 3 feet above the landing surface to provide a good handhold. Landing surface is the one that you're stepping onto. Okay, so it must be at least 3 feet above. How do you count the feet? Well, the rungs on the extension ladders or straight ladders are 1 foot apart. So it's very easy. If you know how to count to 3, then you're good to go. Yeah. If you're a supervisor, they're going to ask you to count to 10. Anyways, attachable access ladder. Yes, they are permitted to do that. Some of the scaffolds, they will have attachable scaffold ladders, and they have to be specified by manufacturer. It has to be the proper one that's approved. All right, now you will also see some companies setting things up that you have nice stairway to scaffold. I think there was a song that says Stairway to Scaffold. No, I think it was Heaven. Anyways, Friday again. So yeah, scaffolds can be accessible by stairways as well. Falling object protection. Again, anyone working on or around the scaffold must wear a hard hat. Why do we make you wear the hard hat in the classroom? Is there a real danger of something falling onto your head while you're in the classroom? Yeah, okay, there's always that possibility, but that's my personal opinion, so don't quote me on that, but we want you to develop the habit of wearing that. We want you to develop the comfort zone while wearing certain type of gear. So when you graduate our college and you go out in the work field, wearing the PPE, wearing that protective gear should not be anything new to you, and you should be you should retain that so-called mental or muscle memory that you are okay to work with it. Because if you are not okay to work with it, it's something new, you're going to have to get used to it, and you're going to be in a real situation, you're going to get distracted, and that increases your chance of having an accident. Anyways, Van by the River speech. Okay. All right. And so workers on or below scaffolds must be protected from falling objects by, well, in addition to the hard hats, toe boards, mesh screens, or equivalent measures. It's my favorite thing, the equivalent measures. All right, so this would be an example of a toe board that would decrease the chances of something falling off the platform on somebody's head. Yeah, so that's what a toe board looks like. Equivalent nonsense, yeah. Well, equivalent measures. There would be ways to protect you from getting into an accident, and those ways would be approved by whoever is in the authority of approving those. Yeah. All right, falling object protection continued. This would be a screen or a mesh. More likely it will be screen. All right, what type of scaffold do you use? This is, well, I'm not sure if this can be called a scaffold. It would be just a few planks of wood, a few boards of wood put together. And in some cases, people work like that. And if you do that, yeah, that looks like fun. It's fun to be in a hospital too. You get free TV and they bring meals to you, to your bed. Wow, seriously. Okay. Anyways, types of scaffold covered here. So you gotta pay for TV. Yeah, okay. Well, that's not fun anymore. All right. So, all right. So the types of we're talking about: fabricated frame, pump jack scaffold, ladder jack scaffold, trestle and horse scaffold, mobile scaffold, roof bracket, top plate, aerial lifts. I'm not sure if we're going to talking about work platforms of that. So there are different types of devices that can hold you in a comfortable way and a safe way while you have to work on height. And depending on the situation, you use one or the other. All right, so trestle and horse, basically this is I just want you to know what things look like. Trestle and horse. Trestle would be this part of it, the horizontal bar that is basically spanned over over those support brackets here. So trestle and horse, because it looks like a horse. I don't know, it's just missing a head. Pump jack, that's a pretty interesting device here. You have not cross braces, but you have support rails, and you will have a working platform. And you see this guy has a foot on the little kind of a device that pumps it up or down. So this whole platform is this platform here and this platform here. If you use that, if you pump it up, there's a switch that you can switch for this thing to go up or down as you use your foot to pump this thing here. It does involve a little bit of a muscle when you work on that. Okay, so that's what a pump jack platform looks like. Ladder jack. It is a slightly more primitive way of a pump jack. It's almost like a pump jack, but you just don't have the pump. You use your muscles to work on things. You set things up, and you are working on that. So there's not that much of movement that you would have as far as raising this platform up and down takes way more effort than using a pump jack. Okay? But that depends on the situation and the whatever you need. So the situation and on the need. All right, is it me or the ladders on top right look like they are on an angle? Are they on an angle? I don't know. It's hard to say because sometimes when people take pictures, the lenses can create some illusional effects. So I don't know. I will have to be there. Yeah, but you know what? I'm glad you pay attention to that in the V form. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Eh? But I think it's just a lens effect, perspective type of thing. All right, fabricated frame. So scaffold, if you see something that is made and to be put together by one type of a brand or something like that, then it will be considered as a fabricated frame scaffold. There are certain pieces that go together with each other, and it's supposed to function as a one complete unit that can be set up or modified according to the manufacturer's specifications. Okay. Fabricated frame. Okay, what do we have here? Guardrails. On a fabricated frame, this will be the platform, consisting of planks that are secured or cleated. There will be an access ladder, and this will be a guardrail, preventing you from falling over. Yeah. Frame. Okay, so cross bracings. Remember I talked to you about the cross bracings. This would be the frame here, and this would be the cross bracings just to keep the frame together from falling apart. So that's what the cross braces look like right here. And you will see once you download the PDF version of this presentation, you'll be able to see a little bit more. So they are hinged right here. So for storage purposes, you just undo these mountings here, and then you just fold them for transportation or storage purposes. So this would be cross bracings, cross brace support. These little things here, see what, because, all right, let me go back one. See, there'll be sections. There'll be a one section here, and there'll be another section here. So that top section goes on the bottom section, and they're basically fitted into each other. Now, when something drives by or things move too much, those frames can basically separate. So in order to prevent the separation of the sections, you use something like uplift pins. So you fit one into the other, and then you secure that with the pin. Right? So those have to be used. Okay, fabricated frame. Scaffolds with a height to base width ratio of more than 4:1 must be restrained from tipping by guying, tying, bracing, or again, equivalent means. Let's take a look at what these things are. All right, when I say guying, all right, these are guy wires. Right? So these are braces in a wire kind of a form. All right, and these would be bracing support. So these will be braces. These here are cross braces. It's a little bit differently made. And these are they are braces, but they're not cross braces. They're just support bracing. But that's what bracing is. It's a stiff type of object that extends from one object to another just to secure something, in order to prevent that from tipping over. So again, let's go back a couple of slides. Again, let's read this again. Scaffolds with the height to base width ratio. So scaffolds with the height to base width ratio of more than 4:1 must be restrained from tipping by guying, tying, bracing, or equivalent means, whatever is approved. Right? Okay. Mobile scaffolds. Guying sounds really odd. Yeah, it's a technical terminology. All right, so all right, mobile scaffolds. If anyone had anything to do with being on the construction side, mostly indoors, you would use something as a mobile scaffold. They are very common piece of equipment to use, but as everything else that is considered to be a tool, there are certain rules that have to be followed in order to be able to use, for you to use them safe. At the end of the day, which is in the evening, right? Inside joke. At the end of the day, you want to go home in one piece and enjoy your family and or whoever that you're going to enjoy, or just your life. But you don't want to go to a hospital. You want to go home. Remember that. Even though they have free food in the hospital, I would still pay for the food and go home. All right. So when it comes to mobile, not good food, well, sometimes it's better than what you have at home in some cases. Wow. well, I've been on this planet for a few years, so I can talk from experience. Anyways, um, all right, mobile scaffolds. Do not move them while occupied. So when you're standing on that thing, do not move those. They can come apart, they can tip over, and it doesn't take much for you to hurt yourself when you're falling down, unless you're made of rubber. Do not move while occupied unless specifically designed for such movement. Some platforms are designed, so if it's designed in a way that it can be moved, then yes. But most of them, if it's just like that one here, I would not move them. Before moving, inspect for pits, holes, or obstructions on the floor. I don't think I have to explain this one. Push the base on or near the bottom while moving. Well, why? Well, if you push the top of it, you're increasing the chances of this thing being tipped. All right, keep going. Mobile scaffold continued. Caster wheels must be locked to prevent movement of the scaffold when stationary. Those wheels, they should be only unlocked when you are moving the scaffold from one place to another. And once you are in position, lock those wheels so this thing is not moving. Roof brackets, scaffolds. Scaffold brackets must be constructed to form a pitch of the roof and create a level work surface. Brackets must be nailed into place. When brackets cannot be nailed into place, 3/4 manila rope can be used to secure in place. You know what? If you are going to do some work on the roof, you're going to have extensive training when it comes to that. Otherwise, they will not let you work, or they shouldn't let you work if you don't have proper training. So I just wanted to show you what a roof bracket looks like, and of course there are some rules. Now, just because you have seen this slide and you read 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points doesn't make you qualified worker to use that. I just want you to know that something like that exists, and I might ask you some questions on the test when it comes to this. Oh, look at that! That's the end of the slideshow. Right. Well, I think I'm going to release another test, and as always, I give you a week to do it. The midterm marks are already posted. If you feel like you want to question your midterm mark, however, the midterm mark is, well, by all means, talk to me or the coordinator or Faith. She's really good with dealing with that. If you're struggling with anything, by all means, we have people who can give you a lot of support when you need. The midterm marks are just like taking the temperature of your progress to see how well you're doing. Is there a reason for alert of any kind? If you got the S, that means it's a satisfactory progress. If you get the U on your midterm mark, then that's unsatisfactory progress, and then you should seek some advice either from me or from Mr. Hamilton, who is our coordinator, or from Faith, who is our support person when it comes to dealing with people who need additional support or need things to be resolved. All right. Other than this, there's no any more announcements that I have for this. Looks like things are going well. I hear from the lab instructors that you guys are really, really good with the COVID-related issues. Discipline is good. Safety is really good. The progress is good. I hear no anything that would make me think that there is a reason for alert with anyone. So I'm happy. Just keep going as you were, and happy Friday. And I will see you, I think, next Thursday. Right? That's it for today. I'm just looking at the chat line here. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you. Don't drink too much. Yeah, okay. Uh, guys, stay healthy and be safe. Peace.